Hey everyone, Carrie Beck here with How to Homeschool My Child. Welcome, Caitlin, Jerry, Cameo, Neil. Hey, Cameo, I need your email address. I've been looking because I know you're in the boot camp and I wanted to touch base about some of the questions that you had as well last week. I think it was last week. Anyway, this is our Raising Leaders open house. So what I'm going to do is this, just so you sort of have an idea of what's going on. I'm going to give an overview of leadership education, about just real education. I'm going to sort of give you a framework, and then I'm going to talk about some things and some ideas of how we could help you move further down the road to be able to give your kids a leadership education as well. So what I want to start with, and if you were on my masterclass, you already know this, but I want to start just a little bit with conveyor belt education, which is a traditional, whether it's a public or private school, it is a traditional school system. Your kids come in that conveyor belt, they hop on it, kindergarten and all the way through 12th grade, and every year they are taught the same exact thing over and over again, and they are all tested the exact same way, and there's really no individualization or anything. Um, oh, thank you, Cam. Thank you. I will start looking for that in a minute. Thank you for sending your email. All right. So that is sort of conveyor belt. I think everyone on here or the people that are watching the replay probably understand that conveyor belt. It just teaches your kids what to think. One of my students, Elena Edison, said when she took this course, she was like, I am trying to get that out of my mindset, that public school mindset. And when she worked through Raising Leaders, that helped her view education differently. She said she's never known anyone who homeschooled, and neither did her husband. She was trying to learn everything from scratch. And I don't know about you, but that's basically what I was doing 25 years ago, back in 1999 or 2001, something like that. She said, your course helped me leave the conveyor belt behind and understand that education is lifelong, that it truly begins at birth and it continues until our last day here on earth. Isn't that the truth? Because education is not filling our heads with a bunch of information. It is having those tools to be able to learn anywhere and to think critically. She said, there's a better, a more proficient way to educate, and that is how I intend to educate my children. And Elena also said that she has incorporated a lot of the ideas, but also mixes it up with her way of doing things, which I love because I believe all our homeschools should be a picture of us. Like for me, I love to integrate food. So I'm always looking for fun food ideas. We actually have cousin camp coming this weekend. Yes, all my grandkids are coming and we're having camp together. We will be doing a lot of fun activities to learn. Now, this weekend coming up, I'm actually going to do Bible activities on First Corinthians 13. So we will have some Bible stories. We will have a memory verse for the whole weekend. We will have some food activities, some hands-on activities, all based on First Corinthians 13. But you may need to find some ways to inspire learning, maybe in science or literature or math or whatever. That is what is so cool about leadership education. You can personalize it and you can make it what your family needs. There is a big difference between teaching our kids what to think and how to think. When we just fill their head with information, we're just teaching them what. When we give them the tools of learning and critical thinking skills, that is when we actually begin to get our kids teaching them how to think as well. And you may have already heard this, but my friend Angie did not want to homeschool. She homeschooled one year and said, I am shipping those kids back. But she decided she was going to go ahead and homeschool because one of her sons really had some issues with the public school. And so she ended up finding Raising Leaders, Not Followers. She goes, I have no idea. It was just a God thing. But what she did was and she even told me, because I talked to her, about 6 to 9 months after she had taken my course. And she said, she was still following some things as far as subject areas, but she goes, Carrie, all of a sudden, I now have a purpose. I see that education is more than the academic subjects. Carrie, your course helped me move from never ever wanting to homeschool again to having a system, a process that I could homeschool with any subject area. And I could have that freedom as well, because that's what leadership education is all about. Freedom shift. And that's what I know a lot of y'all are looking for as well. And so she really said the course gave her purpose, content, and encouragement to move forward. And that was just so encouraging because sometimes I never want to sell anyone anything that isn't going to help them. And that's what I'm here about. One thing I did forget at the very beginning was as we talk, please pop in any questions that you have. All right. I would love that is what this is all about. Let me answer some of your questions as well. So that is conveyor belt education. That is what to think, not how to think, and how that is a conveyor belt, and we need to hop off that conveyor belt as well. Thinking outside the box, which is really hard because we probably, you and I know I did, I grew up in the box. I grew up in the public school mindset. And I had to rethink everything that I was doing. And I want to help you gain confidence to get off that conveyor belt, to get out of that productivity mindset, and to stop stressing and especially stop comparing yourself. If you don't get anything else out of this entire time, give yourself patience and grace. That is so, so vital. Because when we give ourselves grace and patience, we can give our children grace and patience. I wish someone had preached that, like crammed that down my throat. Give yourself grace and patience and quit comparing yourself to social media, whatever they're putting on social media. That is their highlight reel. And they're just trying sometimes to show off. So I just think it's important. Stop stressing out and stop comparing yourselves to the schools. That is not the system that we want. That is academics. That is not education. And I've read this, and I know some of y'all because y'all have been, I don't know if all of y'all were on my classes, but I do know most of you were. But one of our students from like years ago, 2010 or 11, was Cherry, and she had been homeschooling for like 6 years. She couldn't find anything, especially Christian perspective, on raising our kids to lead instead of follow the crowd. And she said, Karen, you have so much practical application. I know I've read this before. I just have to read it again because it's just vivid imagery. I felt like a lone horse on a deserted trail. Everyone else I know that homeschools is on that conveyor belt of education, following the public education counterpart. She said, thank you, Carrie, for being a voice in the desert that will give guidance to us many lone horses down that deserted trail that are headed your way. That's what I want. I want to invite you to be a part of us. I want to walk with you through the summer and give your kids a better education. Now, this isn't in my notes, but I will just throw this out to you. This Friday, that's in 2 days from when we're recording this, I have a live group coaching call. That is for any new students and any former students. So I know it's Katie is on here and she's a former student. There may be some of you others, but I'm not positive. That you can get on that live coaching call with me. And if you haven't joined Raising Leaders Not Followers, you've got this is your chance to test drive it. So go ahead and sign up. You have 14 days from next Monday. So the 14 days doesn't start till next Monday when Module 1 starts to test drive it. You get to come and see if this live coaching call would help you. You get to come and have all of Module 1 and all of Module 2. So it's sort of like really a test drive to see if this is something that would help you. I would love for you to join me on Friday. Actually, I'm going to go ahead. I haven't done this yet, but if that is something that would be helpful to you, I put a link right there. So conveyor belt, let's hop off of it. We need to think outside the box. Now let's talk about 4 steps. And I'm not going to spend much time. Most of you are on the class. But there are 4 steps, even though there are 6 modules. So there is a little difference. A couple of those steps we spend 2 weeks on. The the lifetime learners. So we spend a week on love of learning and a week on tools of learning, and then critical thinking, because we spend a week on critical thinking and a week on making wise decisions. So there are 4 steps, but there are 6 modules just because we have to really focus in on a few things that there's just too much to cover in 1 week. And I want to give you things in bite-sized pieces. I told some people earlier last week, these are 5 to 10 minute videos. They are not hour long. Like some of these, like I signed up for something yesterday and I got on there and there were 3 videos, an hour and 20 minutes for the first one. I was like, oh my goodness, I have to do that some other time because I did not have an hour and 20 minutes. If it had been a 5 minute video, I would have listened right then. So the 4 steps starts with mom, and that's what this whole course is all about. Starting with your education, retraining. You grow new brain cells every night. And so every morning you can retrain them and get rid of that conveyor belt thoughts and start training your mind to focus on real education, love of learning, tools of learning, critical thinking skills. So it needs to start with you, mom. All right. And that's what it's all about. Then we're going to move to character foundation. And I thought I had, yeah, let me show you this. I pulled up a screen. Here it is. I'm going to share my screen for just a second so that you can actually see the inside of this course. Like that's what this is all about. Just so you can see. So the first part, that is all our bonuses and everything. But come down here. So I just told you, it starts with mom. That is this whole module 1, and leadership and goals and vision and all that kind of stuff. Then module 2, there's our foundation of godly character. I was going to show you something. Well, here, just so you can see, each one of these comes with, here we go, here's a video, and then underneath it is our PDF, our workbooks, and our PowerPoint. And so you can come over here, that's the questions, but this is the workbook for Module 1, Lesson 1, and there it all is. So some of you are readers, some of you are listeners, there you go. Then we're going to go through Module 2, which is all about character, foundation, and some surprise bonuses. Lynn told me she believes that one of the most important lessons we can teach our kids alongside the how to think is godly character. Being willing to do things differently, doing things differently, even from those who are doing things differently. If you homeschool, you are definitely doing things differently. But sometimes we even have to get away from the normal, regular, traditional public school conveyor belt homeschoolers. And she says, we need to sit back and here's another takeaway, to hear his voice and follow your specific calling and passion despite the possibility of failure or ridicule. No true leader makes changes in his world without the willingness and the courage to do something different. And she said, your materials, your course, Carrie, enables many more to put feet on raising our kids to be leaders. And so that's sometimes we have to be willing and have the courage to do things differently as well. So that is a character foundation. Then we have lifetime learners, which I already told you we have love of learning and the tools of learning. That's 2 different weeks. And remember, after 2 weeks, we always have a break, implementation and catch-up week. And then we start and we do 2 more modules, and then we have a break, implementation and then a catch-up week. And then the last 2 weeks are our critical and biblical thinking and our decision making. We go through the 3-step process and how you can use that 3-step thinking skills process. So those are my 4 steps. So here's what I'm going to do to help you see changes in your homeschool and to give you the confidence that you need. The very first thing you have to do is start with the mind shift, mindset shift. This is where it starts, not with your children. And I probably didn't say this enough in the master class, but really it all starts with you, Mom. You have got to change what you think education is. Just like Laura Cruz, one of my other students, she said raising leaders, not followers, completely changed her mindset, completely changed her homeschool routine, and now her kiddos are loving their new teacher. So that's where we need to do. We have got to go with the mindset shift. So how am I going to help you do that? We have got a special training just for you that says quit trying to homeschool. Start training for success in your homeschool. And this includes finding the strength that you need and the ability to stay motivated. Sometimes we get going down the road and we don't have that community to help us keep going. And so we lose that motivation, which I completely understand. You have got to make a shift and not be overwhelmed. And that's what we can be doing in the summertime. That is what summer is beautiful for. Even if you homeschool year round, which I was actually on in our, I don't know if y'all are part of our big homeschool, how to homeschool my child Facebook group. If not, you should join there. But there was a question, what is one thing that you wish, what's the worst decision you ever made? And someone wrote in there, taking a break from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And I wrote in and said, well, isn't it great what homeschooling is all about? You got to do what works with your family. I needed a break. I always took a break from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And then we've got year-round people that are not taking a break. I was like, I need a break. My kids need a break. I also believe God took a break. That's why he worked 6 days and then took a break. But just because I took a break from formal homeschooling does not mean we have to take a break from learning. We're always learning. So if you're calling learning and reading aloud homeschooling, then I guess we did year round. But for me, I wanted to take a break. I know that's following that conveyor belt, maybe, but or maybe it's following the seasons. You know, that whole break was built on parents need their kids to go work in the fields during the summertime, during the harvest time. And that was why they took a break in the summertime. But I really think it's important that you find the strength to hop off that conveyor belt and stay motivated. And that's what I love about our community, our Facebook community, is helping each other stay motivated as we make that shift and not be overwhelmed. The other thing I really want to do for you is make sure that you have a biblical perspective of what schooling or education is. I personally don't really believe in schooling. I believe in education. Barbara Jean, I think it's Barbara Jean. Let me just double check. Yeah, Barbara Jean, one of our students, and I'm going to read that comment in just a second, said, you know what? The devil is on my back, lying to me that God doesn't really want me taking raising leaders. It was just all in her head. She said raising leaders, not followers, had been in her heart since the beginning of whenever she started homeschooling. She said, thank you so much for this course to help me make my vision a reality. You see, she really has always wanted to hop off that conveyor belt, have the freedomship and the leadership education. And our course helped make that a reality as well. Oh, yes, finally had some sun. Isn't that funny? Because we've had sun, but then we've had wind and rain and tornadoes and everything down in Texas. I was in my mastermind group, and one of my members is in Oklahoma, and she said they're in a travel trailer and they had to go to the church a few days because the weather got so bad. And some of their friends' travel trailer had blown over with the 60-mile-an-hour winds. I do not feel guilty at all. This mom needed rest. And you know, if y'all were in my master class, we're not going to spend time right now talking about it. 3 R's for mom to get off that conveyor belt. Relax, rest, like sleep, rest and rest in the Lord, and then rejoice. Those are 3 things that I think are so important. So, and then I've already mentioned the private Facebook group, which will help you get help when you need it. I may not be there every second of the day, but you can go in that group and you can ask your questions. And we have alumni in that group as well to help you, the ones that have already gone before you. And then we have 5, I already mentioned this, live coaching group calls and the recordings. And that starts on Friday in 2 days also. And our alumni get to join as well. And one of our other students, Rachel Koser, said, "This is my second time going through Raising Leaders, Not Followers." Did you hear that? She's going through it a second time. She says, "I love the information. I'm excited to use what I've learned. I'm currently reading a book for myself." Again, she is starting with mom's education. She goes, and get this, we are only 3 weeks into postpartum. She just had a baby and she's doing it all over again. And she says, "But I have read aloud a book ready to start with. I have a read aloud book ready to start with my kids next week." So, anyway, I just think that's so cool. And so you do get to take it over and over as many times as you want. I have a feeling Sakithia might be doing that all over. She's here as well. She is like everywhere I am, I think. So she's my favorite little shadow. I love her being here, and she always asks the great questions. All right. So we have 5 live coaching calls, and then we have those 3 weeks of implementation to catch up or to put into practice. And I had a question, and it was, well, if we're not really homeschooling during the summer, am I going to be able to implement it? Well, let's look. Module 1, it starts with you. So you can definitely implement it. This is the perfect time for your education. Module 2 is character building. Well, character building is going on whether you're homeschooling or not. Implementation week, you get to pick one thing from those 2 modules that you're going to put into practice. And then we move on to love of learning and tools of learning. Now, you may not be doing formal homeschooling, but I will just tell you, I'm looking right now at the love of learning modules, and it's like books and letting your kids choose something they're interested in and hands-on activities. Those are just fun things that you could be doing in the summer if you want to. It's really your choice. So you could implement just one of those during that implementation week as well. All right, so 3 weeks to implement. You have got printed info that I've already shown you to read, and that is for you people that are visual learners to read through it all. We have videos I've already shown you, but I'm going to show again. So when we come down here, here's our love of learning section. And so we've got, well, these are books that you can read to inspire reading. There are our 3 PDFs. And then we come down here, where is love of learning? And we have a video for foundations of love of learning and our PowerPoint, because all of our other PDFs were in that first little section right here, PDF and resources. And then you come over here, here's one of the love of learning. You've got all your written part down in here, and then you have a couple questions, because if you need to you need to think about it. We're not just absorbing it. How are you going to put it into practice? Here's another one. How do we inspire our kids to love learning and going after their own interest? So we have all sorts of charts and things as well. I had to start over because, oh, our spring was super busy. I want this info to stay fresh. Sakithia, you put a smile on my face, seriously. And I am not just saying it. I just love seeing here. And she's starting over. She was here in our spring class, and she has been in our boot camp, and she is here again. Okay. Love of learning. Oh, so we have 2 extra trainings that are special. I do not give you everything at one time because that's overwhelmed. I did that 10 years ago, and then no one really got anything out of it because there was just so much they didn't know where to start. Then I gave you a lesson plan, but then you like watch video 1 from minute 2 to minute 7. Well, that was totally confusing. Then I redid it and it was 12 weeks long. Oh my gosh, that's way too overwhelming. And the videos were 30 minutes to an hour. Again, way too much. And I finally found something that works. Finally found a way so that moms are seeing changes in their kids and in their homeschool, their attitudes, their love of learning. And that is our 6 modules. And the videos are short, 5 to 10 minutes each. So, but I have some bonuses that will come out during the summer so that you can start with the leadership. And then every once in a while in the summer, you get a bonus. One of them is my friend Meredith, raising kids who love to read. I had a child who didn't love to read, and it was like pulling teeth. Now, having said that, the one book Hunter would read was the Bible. So I was like, okay, if that's the one book he reads, I am not complaining. So that was encouraging. So she will come out in June. It'll be a training there. And then in July, my friend Amber will talk about getting organized and scheduling tips. Get control of your schedule. And when you have 10 kids like Amber, she knows what she's talking about. Also, I would like to be able to give you some inspiration and some encouragement throughout the way. I will be popping in and out of the Facebook. We'll be sending some emails. You never know. You might get some surprise bonuses that you never even expected. And then also lifetime access. That's the thing about Sakeethia. It didn't just end in the spring. She still has access. Just like Rachel was taking it a second time, and just like Grace, who took it for the first time in the spring, but she bought it 2 years ago. She just didn't never get around to it. And she said, hey, she actually emailed me when I opened it up again for our spring class. She said, hey, do I still have access to this? I'm like, yes, you have lifetime access. And so she joined Sakeethia's class, and Grace went through it for the first time because she had lifetime access. What platform are the courses on? They are on my own personal shopping cart, which is Thrive. And the Thrive has the video. So all you have to do is have your username and password, and you get in there. Like, okay, let me just share this screen again so you can see. Okay, so here we are. This is the members area. You don't need Facebook. You don't even need Zoom except for the live coaching calls. You can use the Facebook. The Facebook is the private thing, but you'll look here. Here are all the bonus things. Then here's module one. This is just logging into your member area. That is just our private member area. Then we have module two, module three, we have tools of learning, teach your kids how to think, and then wise decision making as well. So we have all, and that's just all right here. So we come down here, lesson two, and there's a video. Oh yes, here I am sitting in the same place. And then I think the PDFs were at the beginning of that one. Yeah. So in lesson one, there we have our PowerPoint and our printable workbook as well. So I hope that answers your question. So let's see. Rose told me, hey, Carrie, you are the reason I was able to teach my kids how to think logically. I really needed those tools to be able to think critically and logically. She also printed out all the workbooks every time she needed them, put them in a 3-ring binder. She said I kept a 3-ring binder, and I can go back to it whenever I need it. The worksheets are right there, and the worksheets kept me on track. The other thing she loved was the lifetime access because, see, when she went through it the first time, she didn't need all of it. But now, 2 years later, she needs the critical thinking because her kids have become teenagers. She needed the wise decision making because her kids were getting older. And so that's actually a really cool thing as well. Now, I'm going to give you a little, today is Wednesday, a little sneak peek. I don't publicly announce this, but I'm going to tell you right now to help you with your tools of learning and to help you with your love of learning. I am going to give you our Start Thinking Language bundle for free. It's $109.75 in value. I think there are 7 or 8 classic books like Men of Iron, and I think Swiss Family Robinson, and Famous Men of the Middle Ages. They are all digital, so I'm not going to be mailing you a paperback, but you get all of that. Plus, you get our old-fashioned copy work and dictation ebook. And that is not things that your kids print out. It's just ideas for you to use for copy work that go back into just real good language. So if you buy today or tomorrow, you will get that entire bundle added to your members area as well. And I have not looked recently, but I just want to say thank you to those who have joined. I've already mentioned Sakeethia several times, but Emily and Kendra, Kat, Kelly Jo, Ashley, Jill, Cynthia, Alicia, and Jackie, Y'all, welcome. I am super excited to meet with you on Friday in our live group coaching call as well. Some of you are probably thinking, is it worth the money? And one of my students, Helen, she showed up at every group coaching and she got every question answered. And she said the best thing, one our best things were the video and PDF and the group coaching. I'm going to tell you what, the last time she got on, she was the only one. She got a private coaching call from me, basically, and was able to we just sat and visited. We talked about her family. We got all her questions answered. Well, eventually I got back on another call of my request because I wanted to find out a little bit more about how she was using it and what she was going through. And here's what she told me. Carrie, I have to tell you, I was very skeptical of your course. I really thought it was a bunch of hype. And I remember when she bought this, there was some confusion that week about what was going on. And that was when she joined, that was the first time I did a live group coaching call the day after the cart closed, the day after enrollment closed. And she was confused. I was confused. I was not making a lot of sense. And she was like, this lady's just out to make a buck. And she said, after two modules, the Start with Mom and the character building, she said, I knew raising leaders was exactly what our homeschool needed. I am so thankful to you for your group coaching because that answered any and all my questions. And since then, I keep buying resources from you. She said, that's how much I appreciated your direction in our homeschool. Helen actually lives over in England. So I also think that's cool because we have people from around the world. In the springtime, we had someone, I told you about Faith, who's a missionary over in Europe. We had someone else in New Zealand. And that is one reason most all our coaching calls are at 1 in the morning. That is around 7, 8, or 9 over in Europe, depending on where you are. And that's about 6, 7, or 8 o'clock. I don't know. And New Zealand, Australia, over Guam, because we have people from all over. So I try to pick a time. Now, I do want to answer some more questions. If you have more questions, put them there. If you've been waiting to join Raising Leaders, Not Followers, but the investment, and it's not cheap, it's $197. If that is what's holding you back, yesterday evening I announced something really good news. I don't think I've ever done an 8-pay. I did a 6-pay in the spring, I think, but I've decided just to make it more affordable for everyone, we're going to do an 8-pay program. That means you can get started for $29. $29. I know, and you could get started and test drive it and everything. Because I know the homeschool moms in our community, you are incredibly serious. You really want an elite education for your kids. You want to start thinking outside that box, hop off that conveyor belt, and raise your kids to actually be able to think critically and biblically and make wise decisions. But the price is just not right for you. That is why I know how serious you are. Your family is, if you're like me, you were living on a single income. And that's hard sometimes. I was actually talking to a mom struggling to make ends meet. I mean, like, let's pay rent and buy the food. And if this means that you can't pay your electricity, even with the $29, don't do this. But if the $29 will help you get started and give your kids a better education, let's sign up immediately. I've already put the link here, howtohomeschoolmychild.com/RLNF-24. I want this program to be affordable and accessible to you and to anyone that needs it. I want you to be able to enroll today, jump in with me on Friday, group live coaching call, and then on Monday, as we get started with Module 1, and you can get started on your own leadership education and then pass it on to your kids. That's why I whipped up this 8-payment plan yesterday. I just read too much about what was going on. You can get to work on building a school that changes your family and your life for the better. And so there's nothing else that's really holding you back. You work at your own pace. That's a great question. What are the dates? The first live coaching is this Friday. Module 1 starts June 3rd. And it's 6 modules, but we had 3 implementations, so that's 9 weeks. We finished, I think it's the first week of August, something like that. I don't have the exact dates. But June 2nd, June 3rd is Monday, and that's module 1. June 10th is module 2, and June 18th, I guess, 17th, 18th, would be the first implementation week. Now, having said that, just like Sakithia was so brave and transparent, she says, I had to start over because the spring got too busy. So even if you don't get it all finished, you can continually come back to it. Once you sign up, you have lifetime access to the course and lifetime access to our group live coaching calls. So this is our biggest launch of the year right now. But we have 2 little mini launches. So we do often have a spring and a fall class, but you get to invite to that too. So because I'm not going to just leave you hanging, I want to help you all the way along the way. So raising leaders, not followers. That's what helped our family. I hope it will help your family. If you have questions, pop them in the chat. Thank you, Cameo, for doing that. I know there have been some questions about special needs, and that was why I was trying to reach out to her. And I'm going to try to get some questions and more specifics about that. So if y'all do have questions, leave them here in the chat as well, and let me know. That is pretty much my presentation for the, oh, I forgot to show you this. Let me turn this on. You know, I was so busy showing the whatchamacallit, the members area, you do get some ebooks. So you'll get an ebook. This is a paperback, Raising Leaders, Not Followers. This is, and you can start reading this immediately. Anyone that's already signed up, and some of y'all have, you can start reading it. It is all about Christian leadership education, character building, love of learning, and transitioning your children into independent learning. The next one, teach your children how to think with mentoring. This is all about independent learning. And it is all about our 3-step process, the read, write, discuss method. It is about how to get your kids to learn independently, and then internships and college and mentorships and shadowing. I was trying to think, and then getting jobs. And so that is what this one's all about. The other one is not in a paperback format, hop off the conveyor belt, but that is one that is only available in the course. These are ones, you know, you could buy a paperback if you want. You will just get the paperback. You're not going to get the whole course. You're not going to get the support. You're not going to get everything that goes with it. You won't get any of the videos as well. And that's where I really dive deep. And I have to tell you, I even go beyond what's in here. This is just the beginning of it. And that's really where I got started. Once I wrote the book here, Raising Leaders, Not Followers, I started learning more about it. And just like I'm looking at the decision making, that's not even included in any of this as well. Plus, you get the charts and all the printables to go with you that you can print out, like Rose printed out. All right, any other questions before we close? No? All right, well, email me. Let me know if you have questions. I am here. We are open. This is Wednesday. We are open. It stays open till Thursday midnight, and then it does close. All right, because I want to work with all the students, and I don't need people popping in and out. We need to sort of go through it together so that we can really make a change and see the changes that I've shared with you, that some of these other moms have shared with me. So thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate it. I will talk to y'all later. Carrie Beck, How to Homeschool My Child. We'll see you later.